My name's Peggy. I'm an alcoholic. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Julie. Thank you so much, Kendra. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you so much, Oklahoma, right? These guys are incredibly welcoming. You're just super duper nice. I have never been here before. Not really. Excuse me. Well, actually, I saw the blue whale at Catoosa a year ago, and it's my spirit animal, and I'm just so devastated that it's like I can't get there because it's closed for repairs or something. Maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't know. We were coming back from the Grand Canyon with my husband, and today it's my husband. It's nobody else's husband, so I should get a chip for that. I think, but whatever. So anyway, my name is Peggy. I'm an alcoholic. I'm from Edgewood, Kentucky, Cincinnati. I go to Oak Street if you've ever been up in the area. If you haven't been to the area, you should go to the area and check out Oak Street. It's the oldest continually in one place AA clubhouse in ever. You know what I mean? Like in the world. So anyway, it's a great meeting and it has a great vibe just like here. So much enthusiasm. You guys remind me of Cincinnati. Like you know, there are pockets of enthusiasm around here. And you have it, you know what I mean? It's like everybody doesn't have what we have, you know? I mean, it works, they stay sober, but I just really love the fellowship. I love the energy. I love the laugh, because for a really long time I didn't. Anyway, I grew up in Dayton, Kentucky. You probably won't even find it on a map, right? Because it's tiny. I mean, like, it's really little. And in Dayton, Kentucky, there was like a bar on every corner and a church across the street. And that's what we did, you know? And and as far as back as I can look, or as long as whatever, you know what I mean? As far back as I can remember, I just felt weird and different. Some people say that and some people don't, but I definitely did not feel like I fit in. It felt like my skin was on inside out, right? I had 8 brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest. And somehow, even with all those kids, I was an only child because I'm incredibly self-centered. You know, I mean, yeah, they were there, but were they really? Because it was all about me. And earlier today, Crystal and Crystal, she drove down here from Cincinnati, so you might want to keep her in your prayers because I talk a lot. I mean, I can talk you to death. I really can. I can talk and then just talk some more. I answer my own questions. You know what I mean? And I lie to myself. I mean, it's just terrible. So, but yeah, she's just like, everybody needs a Crystal in your life, you know, because I mean, she'll just get in the car and we go crazy places. And even when I don't want her to come, she goes. So anyway, yeah, I have all those brothers and sisters and I just felt weird and different. And I don't know. It seemed like I was always on the outside looking in. And it seemed like everybody else knew what was going on. And when you have that many brothers and sisters and you have to be the center of attention, oh, that's what I was going to say. We went to that center of the universe thing y'all got. That is cool. Really, I thought I was the center of the universe. I really did. And I'm sure everybody says that, but that's so cool. I wonder, like, how does that work? Like, you stand there and it's just like vibrating and stuff. It's just crazy. So I could go back. I mean, I could see me getting stuck there. So, you know what I mean? Like, I can't bondage itself right here. And somebody help. So anyway, I had all those brothers and sisters, and I was weird and different. And I bought my own box of stars, and I put them on my paper, and I would come home, and I would have like 12 stars on there, and just show my mom how good I did, you know. And my dad went to, like, my dad was a World War II vet. He went to the 6th grade, and my mother was an 8th grade. Like, she went to the 8th grade. And back then, I mean, I guess people didn't go to school as long. And my dad, I mean, none of this is why I'm here, though. You know what I mean? This is just my story. Your story might be like that. It might not be. But this is just how I grew up. And so, like, we were really poor, you know. My mom would sew our clothes, and she would cut my hair. And I look back, and I remember picture day. There's like this really, you know, like traumatic picture day. So I had this shirt and it had a big red bird embroidered on the front, right? Big, you know. And I had my hair. I wanted to curl my hair, so a schoolmate got this comb stuck in my hair and she couldn't get it out. And so the janitor had to cut my hair, right? I mean, to my scalp. So now I look like I got mange, and I got this big bird on me, and I need a drink. I don't know about you all, but I needed a drink from right out of the chute. I was weird and different and nervous, and I didn't fit in. And you know, now I got a hole in my head, and they're going to take my picture, and I'm probably missing my teeth. And, you know, I mean, I felt like, I mean, I looked on the outside like I felt on the inside. But life went on, you know, and I was like, truly, I didn't have a lot of friends. And we went to church all the time, you know, well, not all the time, Sunday. It felt like a lot, you know, and so... And you know, my dad, like, never once said he loved me. He was like one of them tough guys. Well, he was in the war. He was in World War II, right? He was in the 44th Infantry. And if my dad was asleep and you were the unlucky kid that said, go wake up Dad, and you shook my dad, that's not a good idea. You know what I mean? And he loved me. He never said he loved me, and I took that personal, though, you know? And my dad was just like, he was old school. They didn't have warm fuzzies, you know? My dad had all them kids. He never once changed a diaper, you know? I mean, they just didn't do it like that. So, anyway, here I am. I'm weird, different, you know, going to church. So second grade, like we were Catholic, right? So I'd have to go to confession. When I'm going to confession, I'm going in there and I'm lying. Like, why? You know, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm a liar. That's what I do. You know, I'm just wired bad. So I'm going into confession, and I'm making up worse stuff than I've done, you know? So I'm not even a good liar. I'm going in there, and at that age, the worst thing that I have done is I played perverted Barbie dolls. You know what I mean? Like, I got a Ken doll, and when I got a Ken doll, it just went... You know what I mean? Like, Ken had a little too much fun with all the Barbies, and they'd fight over him and all that kind of stuff. And when I took a drink, I became Barbie, basically, you know, to make a PG version. But I took a drink, you know. And what happened was, I don't know what happened. I mean, I was invited to this party, right? And I didn't have friends. I don't know why they invited me. I was the bookworm. I'm the kid that stood and waited for the bookmobile during the summer for it to come along, because books were my big escape. I read all the Nancy Drew, all the Hardy Boys. I was like all about books, right? I could take a book, read a book, and go places. So anyway, I get invited to this friend's house, and I went. And I took a drink. And that alcohol did for me what nothing had ever done for me. I was enough. I felt as good as you looked. I was part of. You know what I mean? And I took a drink, and the drink took a drink, and the drink took me. And then, to make a really long, awful story short, that's exactly what happened. What happened was I had that alcohol doesn't affect everybody like that. I didn't know that, you know. I can't imagine. I mean, I feel sorry for the people it wasn't magic for, you know. I mean, I took a drink, and it just made me just as good as everybody. And that very first night, I took off all my clothes and ran around the block, you know. And really, that's what happened a lot. And it really was. I quit running, but I don't know. I'm the kind of alcoholic that, I mean, I was not a classy drinker, you know. I mean, I just took a drink, and the drink took a drink, and the drink took me. And sometimes I would wake up, and I would be at the A.J. Jolly Park with 3 guys in nunchucks, and I don't know how I got there, and I don't even know who they are, right? And then I come to out of a blackout, and I'm at White Castle's, and my clothes are up on the counter, and I don't know why. And a little bit later, that same night, I'm driving a boat, you know. I don't have a boat. I can't even swim. I don't know who this guy is, you know. I just take a drink and I materialize places, you know, and it's never good. but I'm going to do it again, you know, because it's still kind of fun. And I got this little job at this little Chinese restaurant in Newport, Kentucky, and I would steal bottles of alcohol from them. And you know, drugs are a part of my story. You know, I didn't know I was going to come here to be, you know, I am an alcoholic, though, 100%. I remember my brothers sold drugs, you know, like some of them sold coke and some of them sold weed, and I would do, you know, some of that. I remember not being able to get any weed one time, and so I rolled up a Brim decaffeinated coffee. Like, normal people don't roll up stuff and smoke just to see, you know what I mean? But I'm thinking, I thought it was a good idea, because here's the deal. Who smoked the first joint? Somebody had to try it, you know? I was going to try it. What if I was onto something? I could be like an entrepreneur. I could retire early, you know? And the coffee didn't work, so I tried tea. And it didn't work either, but I mean, it just didn't stop me from trying it again, you know, because I'm not that sharp, you know. And I don't know. I was willing to take the risk just in case. You know what I mean? Because I just couldn't stand how I felt. So, I'm going through school, and, it's kind of crazy because I'm the kind of person, I can read a book, not the big book. I couldn't figure that one out by myself, but I can read a book and I can pass a test. I mean, reading was my first escape. So if you give me a test, I can pass it, even if I don't know what's going on. You just get rid of, there's always a couple really crazy answers, and then you just make your best guess and you can beat the average. That's just how that works. So, I don't even know what I was talking about, but, so when I graduated from high school, I was valedictorian. Now, here are my parents, right? They didn't graduate from high school. I'm the youngest kid, and they're so proud of me. And my whole life, they've always said, what do you want to be when you grow up? You have so much potential, And you know what I wanted to be? Left alone. That's what I wanted to be, numb. How about you just don't worry about it, Because when people would tell me you have so much potential, it just gave me pressure. You know what I mean? I know I'm going to let you down. What do I want to be? What do you mean? I'm already nothing? I take you can't even talk to me right. I take everything personal. So anyway, when I just remember, here's another stupid thing I did. I did a lot of stupid stuff. I remember taking a black Molly in English, because I was busy. I need a little bit of speed. I don't need speed. I'm a jacked up, high energy kind of girl. The last thing I need is 22 cups of coffee or some black Molly. But anyway, I'm sitting in English class because I got to work that night probably. And I was, I played tennis. I did all kinds of crazy stuff. I was voted most likely to succeed. And 2 years later, I was in jail. You know what I mean? What do I want to be? Numb. I want to take all your hopes and dreams and just crumble them up and feed them to you, because that's what's going to happen. So I remember taking this black Molly, and we didn't have any libations back then. You couldn't have drinks in school. So I saved up as much spit as I could, popped it in my mouth, got stuck in my throat, right? Well, naturally, then you burp, and powder came out my nose. And it was like, whoo, all the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I just started snorting them after that. It was like another one of those wonderful moments, where I figured something out. It was like the tea, except if that would have worked, And then you hear things like, well, put toothpaste on your cigarette. I have smoked some of the worst stuff, and it didn't, I mean, just is reality that bad? Yeah, it is. I mean, if you're up in my head, it is. Yeah, I'll smoke it, I'll drink it, I'll whatever, yeah. So anyway, I graduated from high school. I was valedictorian. I had a full ride to Columbia University, and I didn't go. Yeah, my parents, oh my God. When I got sober, my dad didn't talk to me for 2 years. I mean, I hurt him, Instead of going there, I ended up going to NKU. And Northern Kentucky University, it was a local, basically a community college at the time. And I mean, it's a fine school, but man, my parents, you know what I mean? They were so incredibly proud of me. They wanted for, like any parent, they wanted for more for me than they had for themselves. They were so incredibly proud of me. And when I graduated, I had to give a speech, right? Kind of up here. And, but it was a football field, and it was on dirt. And I was really drunk, and I had hickeys all over my neck. And, it was the 80s. I thought I was Sister Christian, if you're familiar with that song. And I'm in my white pumps, my white gown and my hat and all that. And I fell out of my shoes, and I walked off the field. And, I was just staggering, and they were just destroyed. They were so humiliated. You know what I mean? That's what I do. I'm the kind of person that'll build a sandcastle in the air, and I'll convince you to move in. But I'm a 3-inning ball player. I can't finish anything. Are you kidding? I'm a really good starter. I can get great jobs. I'm a wonderful girlfriend. I'm a good bride. I'm a horrible wife. You know what I mean? It's just bad, If I had to keep doing it every day, 7 days a week, that's just too much. I can't do it, I need a break. I'm one of the people, I miss you, come here, stay away, It's mixed signals, head games, all that kind of stuff. And I don't even want to be like that. I don't even know why I am like that at the time. So anyway, I go to NKU, and I majored in Budweiser, and I made it 3 semesters. I went. It's funny now. I had to do it, right? If I wouldn't have had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. It took a long time to get through to that. But I went for I went from a 4.0 to a 1.27 GPA. I was asked to leave, academic probation, lost all my scholarship, had to pay back the money, all that kind of stuff, and real quick, And what happened was there was like ladies' night, women's night. In my case, it was women's night because I was not a lady, but you could get in there for free, right? It was go over to Clifton over in Cincinnati, and you could drink for 2 hours for free. Well, on Wednesday night. But I had an 8 a.m. class that I probably only went to twice. You know what I mean? Like, that's way too early. So, I just drank it up. I take a drink, the drink takes a drink, and the drink takes me. And alcohol is the great remover. It starts removing all my hopes and my ambitions and everything. But I think I'm changing my mind. You know what I mean? So, like 3 semesters in, yeah, I'm kicked out, but I don't want to go there anyway. It's all your perspective. So, and I have an impaired perception of reality. That's just me, I have to, or I can't take it. So I think I was just going to take a semester off. It took me 17 years to go back. That was a really long semester, But so anyway, I took a semester off to figure out what I wanted to do because I never knew what I wanted to be anyway. So it turned out I wanted to be an alcoholic. Not really, but that's what happened. So when I was, 19, I hit a parked car. I hit lots of parked cars. I got caught hitting a parked car, right? Those are two different things. So I hit a parked car, and Mothers Against Drunk Driving is big at the time. It was been like 1986. I graduated from high school in 1984, and so 1986, I hit a parked car, I get caught. They send me to Drake Hospital, which was like the DIP program, the Driver's Intervention Program, and it was 3 days, and you had to stay there, and it was the 80s, and I already knew something was bad wrong with me, okay? So I'm reading a lot of self-help books. I'm reading The Dance of Anger and Women Who Love Too Much and I'm Okay, You're Okay, and I wasn't okay, but I read the book and I'd see, I think I'm smart, so I'll figure it out because I know something is wrong with me. So I go to that Drake Hospital thing, and they have the Father Martin's chalk talk, and that guy's up there, and he's talking about alcoholism and all this kind of stuff, and I'm 19 years old, And he said, so when I left there, he said, do you think you're an alcoholic? And I thought, well, why am I even going to answer that question? Because if I say I'm an alcoholic, you're going to send me to AA. And if I say I'm not an alcoholic, you're going to tell me I'm in denial, and then you're going to send me to AA. And I was right. He sent me to AA. And I had to go to 6 beginner meetings, right? And so I went to Russell Street up in Covington, if you've ever been in the area. And it's gone now. But Russell Street, the ceilings were like this. I mean, it was like a hobbit town or something. Really low ceilings, and it was like so much smoke. But there was like one non-smoking table in the group. I mean, like you'd have to cut through the thing. It's a thing up there. But anyway, so I go to 6 beginner meetings there. And when you walk in, there was this little door over on the left, and that was the central office also, and that's where they had the beginner meetings. So I would go in there, and there was like, I didn't know him at the time, but there was this really hot guy, and his name was Jesus Joe, right? And I thought, I'll go back, I'm not doing anything, just got out of jail. So, or it wasn't jail yet, but anyway, I went to those 6 beginner meetings, right? And in those meetings, they would talk about how the disease of alcoholism is like it's cunning and it's baffling and it's powerful and all this kind of stuff, and it's progressive. And if you have it, you have 3 alternatives. You can either get sober, you can become institutionalized, or you're going to die. Like, you have 3 options, and I was like, I don't like any of them. I'm 19. Are you kidding? But what happened was when Joe and Dick H. and all these other heroes later started telling their stories and how they felt, they got my attention. And I thought, finally, that's what's wrong with me. But I don't want you to help me, right? I just think that I just won't drink. You know what I mean? So that's what's wrong with me all these years. That's why I mean, anything I touch, I'm a mess. I don't want to be a mess, but I'm a mess. So there was another question in there. Like you go in there, if you've all done those like 21 questions or whatever, I'm paraphrasing, but one of them questions said, did you ever get drunk against your will? Like, did you ever get drunk when you didn't want to get drunk? And I thought, well, that's a really stupid question because I always wanted to get drunk, So whatever, that one didn't apply to me. So I leave that little, I get my little 6 meeting thing checked off, and I'm not going to drink, And if you're a heavy drinker, just don't drink, and your life's going to be okay. But if you have the disease of alcoholism, like I have the disease of alcoholism, those are 2 different things. When I don't drink, if I don't drink and I don't have a program of recovery, a power greater than myself in my life, I'm not okay. I'm the furthest thing from okay. To me, alcoholism is like a tourniquet or like a scarf around my neck. And if I'm not drinking, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And pretty soon I just can't stand it. You know what I mean? My skin's on the inside out. I'm the kind of person that if I get a flat tire, I will cut the other 3 because I'm insane, I mean, I just overreact. I'm angry. God's picking on me. It's not a flat tire. It's the universe. One more time, nothing ever goes right. Nothing, That's me. I mean, I take restless, irritable, and discontent to the nth degree. You know what I mean? Like somebody's going to die. Maybe all of us. I don't know, because I just can't stand it, Woo, it's bad. And then I get that sense of ease and comfort when I take a drink. If I even think about it, you know what I mean? So for a year, I try to not drink. And now I know what they mean. Now I'm getting drunk against my will because I don't want to drink. I don't want to wake up. I don't want to see that look in my mother's eyes. I don't want to see the look on that guy's face. I don't want to see my friends. My friends all quit talking to me because my favorite drink was yours and my favorite guy was yours. I mean, against my will. I take a drink, the drink takes a drink, and the drink takes me. It's just like, like you got that little genie bottle and you rub it and the genie comes out and it grants your wishes. But when I take a drink, it tells me what to do. It's not up to me anymore. And I'm not coming to out of blackout singing in the church choir, right? It's not happening. Ooh, which is probably good too because I really can't sing. So it never stopped me from trying though. So anyway, when I get to, over the next year, it's just horrible. And I hit another parked car that I got caught. I hit a parked car going 60 miles an hour on 75. And I'm the kind of drunk, I come to out of blackouts, and I am on the expressway going the wrong way. That's me, I mean, I'm a I take a drink. When I take a drink, I have lost all control because I'm like the Jekyll and Hyde, just like it talks about in the book. Sober, I'll bake you cookies. Drunk, I put a cigarette out in some guy's face. Why? You know what I mean? Like, how do you make amends for that one? You do. I don't know. So, I hit another parked car, and I hit a lot of parked cars, but I got caught again, right? And so, I went to jail, and when I'm in court, that's when you hear the stuff, and your mom, my poor mom, my mom was like the saint. She had all those kids. She used to cry and say she was going to leave, and I locked her in the basement. I mean, like, if you're ever going to leave me, just go. Don't tell me because I'll kneecap you, I mean, you're not leaving me, even if I don't want you. I mean, I can leave, but you can't. That's ego, right? So anyway, when, I don't know, you find out in court that I peed on the side of the expressway, in a dress. I thought I was Cyndi Lauper at the time. I was drinking liquid paper, like whiteout. It was white stuff all over my face because I thought it would help my breathalyzer. Well, it's got alcohol in it, I mean, that's alkalogic, yeah. I put pennies in my mouth because I thought it would help the breathalyzer, I mean, who does that? People who smoke tea to see if it'll get them high. I just I just have really bad ideas and I act on them. My husband says I'm like fire aim ready. I mean, I just don't even think about it. Let's just go do that. I'm very impulsive. So anyway, when I get, I go to jail, and my problem was, okay, so if I hit a parked car going 60 on the expressway, why is it parked on the expressway, right? Nothing's ever my fault. And they're like, yeah, but why were you doing 60 in the emergency lane? Because when I'm drunk, my lane's the one on the bottom, I mean, wherever I'm at, I'm just going. So anyway, I jailed well. I really did. Like, you lock me up, really? I mean, that's not anything. This is my prison. My prison is between my ears,
If you're going to lock me up, I'm going to get in line. I made friends. I went back. I tutored people in math. I mean, it was not a problem. So, but here's the deal. So I was over at the Justice Center over in Cincinnati. It was brand new, looking out the window, and I had that moment of clarity. I knew that I was in there because I took a drink. And even more important, I knew that when I get out, I'm going to take a drink because I've already tried to not drink. And if I can't quit drinking, how am I going to quit drinking? I absolutely hate myself. I want to die. I want it over. I mean, I have overdosed trying to kill myself. I've slit my wrist trying to kill myself. One time I drove out to the dam, right? I can't swim, okay? I have a pool when I can't swim, but I got floats. So, and I didn't have a cooler. You know what I mean? Like if you get sober and you have a cooler, like one of them hard plastic ones, you are high bottom, okay? I didn't have a cooler. I had a 99-cent styrofoam ball cooler, and it's duct taped, and I'm driving out to the dam, and I got a couple quarts of beer and some weed, and I'm going to get high, and I'm going to kill myself. And so I'm going to throw myself into the dam because I can't swim, and I figure that'll be dramatic. So I get out there, and it's really dark. I mean, a dam where you dam rivers. Y'all have dams in Oklahoma? Okay, good, because I mean, y'all don't. I want to make sure that you're keeping up, okay? So I go out there, and it's dark. I mean, they don't even have street lights. It's dark. It's so dark. So I open up the door, and I get out to kill myself. And there's people there, and I got scared to death that they were going to kill me, so I had to get in the car and drive home. Because I can kill me, but you can't, I mean, that's two different things here. So anyway, I didn't die. Here I am. And so I don't know. I looking out that little window, and I said a prayer, God help me. I didn't tell him how to help me. I didn't say I need a guy. I didn't say I need a job. I didn't have any of those. People get here and, they lose marriages and stuff. I couldn't get a second date by the time I got here. I mean, there was no big line for me. And so anyway, here I am. They let me out of jail. Like I said, I looked out that little window and I just said, God help me, And when I got out of jail, I was drunk that night. And I thought, God does not hear prayers from people like me. The God that I had when I got here, absolutely terrifying God, and I didn't know how to not have that God at all. So anyway, very vengeful. I get out of jail, I'm drunk that night, and I have to go see a therapist for a couple years. I needed a lot. So anyway, I'm seeing this lady, and she keeps telling me, why don't you go to AA? And I said, well, I've already been there. It didn't work. She said, well, just go to one meeting. But I said, I've already been there. It didn't work. She said, well, just go to one meeting. And I thought, well, she's the one that needs the therapy because she's not hearing me, And so it's I've already been there. It didn't work. So February the 17th, 1987, and I only know that because I had to look back, right? She said, okay, I've made arrangements for this girl, Betty, to meet you at Russell Street at the noon meeting, and I'm going to let you leave 15 minutes early. And I stood at the turning point. I stand at the turning point a lot, right? So I walked down her steps, and I could have either turned right and went to the bus stop, or I could have turned left and walked a couple blocks over to Russell Street. And for some reason that day I turned left. And I don't know why. Maybe it was that little prayer. Maybe it was my mother's prayers, or my grandma's, or my dad's. Maybe it was other people's prayers. Who knows? Anyway, I turned left, and I walked over to Russell Street. And it was, I was terrified. You know what I mean? I hadn't had a drink that day. I didn't know I was going to AA either, I didn't know that my life was about to change. I did not know that my life was going to go down this incredible journey. And if I would have known some of the things I was going to have to go through from that day to 38 years later, I certainly didn't know I was going to be in Oklahoma talking to you, okay? That was not on my radar that day. So anyway, I go to this meeting, and this lady walks across the room, and she puts her hand out and said, my name's Vicki. And thank God she did that, because sometimes there's days that I'm not looking for the new girl. Some days I'm in a meeting and I'm just doing fellowship with my friends. And sometimes I forget that it's life and death, one day at a time, right? Then you guys said crazy things like it's the first drink that gets you drunk, and I thought you were a bunch of lightweights, I thought, well, we can't hang, right? And one drink never got me drunk, and then it's the engine that kills you, not the caboose. What? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm smart. And then they'd say things like, well, we bury smart people around here. And I thought, well, don't tell them you're smart, And but this Vicky chick asked me when my last drink was. I wasn't expecting that, right? And so I lied. She said, well, so this is like February, right? She said, well, did you drink for New Year's? And I'm like, no. Well, of course I did. You know what I mean? But I act out like, oh, no. She said, well, did you drink for Christmas? I'm like, oh, no. Of course I did. You know what I mean? I'm like, no. So she goes over there in that little Fred's office in the central office thing, and she gets this Rolodex, because it's 1987. We don't have computers. And she writes my name and my Christmas. She writes down Christmas for my sobriety date. And you're all so happy, and you're clapping for me, and you're giving me coins that I don't have time for, right? But you know what? I look back, and I couldn't quit drinking. But I didn't want to let you guys down. So God used that character defect of that lie to help me stay sober. Because only God, you know what I mean? When I got here, I didn't speak God. God speaks Peggy. And it took a long time. You can take the girl out of the bar, but it took a long time to get the bar out of the girl. A long time, And I was doing the best I could. It wasn't very good, but it was the best I could. And so I'm going to all these meetings. There was also this guy at that first meeting, and he told me to keep coming back, and I thought he wanted me, right? So, it is a week before I'm 21. I'm 20 years old, right? And so, I looked for him I went to a lot of meetings. I never saw him again, but God's so funny because he speaks Peggy, right? And so I go to all these meetings and I'm doing all this stuff and like they have those little where and whens, that's what we call them, and it tells you where the meeting is and when it is and stuff. That's why I guess they call it a where and a when. And so, but some of them said closed. And I thought, well, the meeting is closed, get it out of the book. Why is it still in the book? I didn't know what it meant, and I can't ask you for help. And at the end of the meeting, I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a car. Are you kidding? I've totaled everything I've ever driven. I'm paying for cars. I ain't got one. But I'm getting out my keys acting like I got a car because I don't want you to feel bad for me, and I don't want your help. But you know what I did notice is when I was in the meeting, I felt better. And then I'm riding on the bus, and this lady gives me this 24-hour-a-day book, and it's February. And, I'm telling you, I'm valedictorian. I am behind. It's February. You've already been doing this since January, at least. So I'm studying the previous month so I can talk the talk, and I'm just crazy, and just absolutely riding the bus and trying to duck and dodge so you don't see me riding the bus. My ego would have killed a lesser woman, and so anyway, I don't know. I started dating in the program. I don't know that I should have, but I did. And, when you go out with somebody in AA early on or even later on, like at the end of the date, you don't know whether to hold hands and say the Lord's Prayer or go home. Take them with you. So there was a lot of that. And then, and I don't know, I went through 7 sponsors in the first year and a half, okay? I outgrew them spiritually, and 2 of them were guys. It was a mess. And I, everything they said don't do, I did, and I didn't mean to be defiant. I just didn't know how not to be, and so I don't know. It was about a year and a half sober. I had to surrender to alcoholism because about a year and a half sober, I wanted to kill myself, and I thought I was in AA. And I can take that chair and I can sit in a meeting 16 days a week, or 16, it felt like there was 16 days in a week back then, let me tell you. It still feels like that sometimes, but I was going to 16 meetings a week. You know what I mean? And I'm reading the steps, and I thought that was working the steps. I didn't read the book. I thought I read the book, but I didn't think I was an agnostic. I wasn't a wife. The family afterward, they didn't talk to me, right? I'm sleeping on my sister's couch. I'm staying places. You can't ask a new person yes and no questions. You can't say, where do you live? Well, you know what I mean? Everything is let me explain. Do you have a job? Well, are you married? Well, I can't answer yes and no questions, And so anyway, I'm staying on my sister's couch, riding a bus, going to lots of meetings, thinking I'm in AA. And I wasn't in AA. Just like I can take that chair, best analogy I ever heard a long time ago, I can take that chair and I can put it in a chicken coop and sit there 16 times a week and I will not be a chicken. If I want to be a chicken, I got to do something, right? If I'm going to be an Alcoholics Anonymous, I have to do something. And I went to a meeting, and there was this guy there, and his name was Happy Andy. And Happy Andy was really my higher power at the time. And, he said he didn't date women in AA. Well, guess what? It took me 2 years to go out with him, but I didn't. And I didn't want him because I liked the catch and release. And but anyway, Andy asked me, and it had to be Andy because I could only hear from him. Like, women, you guys were a threat. So Andy asked me what step I was on. And I said, well, I'm working on the 4th step because everybody's working on the 4th step when you're new. And so, I don't know really what I'm going to do about it, but I'm working on it. So everything I work on, I destroy. My sponsor finally, she would tell me things like, Peggy, your solution is worse than the problem. Can you just hold still? Do you just have to just do nothing? Just don't do anything. Just hold still. I can't do it, I can't stand how that feels. I got to go do something. Let me go fix it, and I'll fix it again. So anyway, now it's really broken and nobody even knows what it was originally. So Andy said, he got out this book and he showed me that prayer, and if I don't read that book, I don't know nothing. And if I got a sponsor who's not reading that book, I got secondhand know nothing. And that's it, but I didn't know because I don't know. I think I'm an A. I really thought I was doing a good job, and then I wanted to kill myself a year and a half in. And so he said, why don't you go ask that lady to help you? And I asked this lady, and I was terrified of this lady. Her name was Mary. And Mary took me through those steps. And it was, Mary saved my life. Mary was I'm going to cry. I don't want to cry. My makeup is not waterproof. So, I'm on a non-toxic journey. So, you're kidding. You even sweat. You look like a raccoon. So, we're going to have to rethink this. So, because my ego will kill me. So anyway, Mary started taking me through steps. And when it was time to do that, the 4th step, she lived a far away, too, from me, right? I had to drive. So I'd drive up to Mary's house and get in my car and leave. I left. If she wasn't at that door, I'm gone, So I come home, and there's this answering machine flashing, and Mary left a message on my machine. She said, I thought we were doing your 5th step. Where are you? I said, well, I was there. You didn't answer the door. So the 2nd week, we made another appointment. So the 2nd week, I go up there. I left. You know what I mean? I went up there. So the 3rd time I went up there, she was waiting for me on the porch. Because she spoke Peggy too, right? And so anyway, we did this inventory, and she took me through the steps. And we absolutely, life got better. You know what I mean? I met my first husband, and we got married, and he lived in Lexington, so we lived down there, and then I divorced him, Then I married him again, and I divorced him again. I married the same guy over and over. It was horrible. I couldn't stop, And and Mary, thank God for Mary. But after about 17 years, she drank, and it absolutely, it destroyed me. It destroyed me. I trusted her. She was she knew everything about me, and that hurt. But I had to have another sponsor, so I asked this other lady to be my sponsor. And about this time, Barbara Jean, her name was Barbara Jean. I asked Barbara Jean to be my sponsor, but I didn't go to where Barbara Jean goes to meetings, So she's not going to readjust her life for me, But I have to go where she's at if she's going to be my sponsor. And I'm one of them people. You have to see me because I'll lie. I don't even know I'm lying. I think I'm not. I'm delusional. You know what I mean? This side of my head lies and that side believes it, and it's not good. When I'm running my own life. So anyway, about this time, I've got my 2 kids, right? And I've gone back to school because up in northern Kentucky, everybody, after you're sober a while, you all go back to school. That's what we do. And I had a full ride sober too, like BVR. We have that Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation. And so I'm going to school, and they're even buying my pencils. And one day, I couldn't find a parking spot, and I quit. What? I know, I did it again. That's the 2nd full ride I just kicked to the curb, because I'm crazy. So, anyway, when so I'm going to a lot of, my kids are in school now, and I'm doing the Breakfast with Santa and the PTA, and I'm in school, and I'm busy, and there's only 7 days a week, right? And pretty soon, I'm down to like 3 meetings a week. Next thing you know, I'm down to 2 meetings a week. And now I'm down to 1 meeting a week. And if I'm going to 1 meeting a week, that's 4 meetings a month. And if I miss one, that's 3 meetings a month, 2 meetings a month, 1 meeting a month. And if I miss a meeting, I have a really hard time. Like, they're going to wonder where I've been, so I can't go there, you know? So I like, my ego can't stand it. Where you been? Are you kidding? I'm sober, you know? And my mind would say, well, you don't even feel like drinking. It's okay if you're not going to meetings, you know? And I thought I was, you know? I was going, you know, I had an AA commitment. I was making coffee, except for when I asked somebody to cover it for me, which was a lot. Next thing you know, I'm doing like 1 meeting a month. And before I know it, it's like the whole world got dark. It got really dark. And the next thing, I'm laying on the floor in the fetal position, and I absolutely want to die. And I think I'm sober. Well, I'm dry. And what happens over a period of time without relief, my mind will create a world that I have to drink to survive in. 1 shot, or big shot, little shot, 1 shot, we're all shot. It doesn't matter how much time I have. I have my sobriety is contingent upon the maintenance of my spiritual condition 1 day at a time. They told me at Russell Street, when you get sober, it's like having a paper bag with a hole in the bottom. And I put stuff in 1 day at a time, but it falls out the bottom. It's 1 day at a time. You know, you can't save this up. It's just like, okay, I put gas in my car last week. Oh, really? How's that working today? You know? Well, it died. Oh, no wonder. So anyway, I ended up going to, well, what happened was God. It's not, none of this is Peggy, it's all God. So I'm driving home. I remember saying a prayer on that bathroom floor, just God help me. You know, just God help me, because I can't go on like this. And I think I'm sober, and I'm not. I'm dying of untreated alcoholism. And it was awful. I can't even tell you, but I couldn't even know what it was. The world just got dark. It's like when you have this trophy and you quit polishing it and it gets all tarnished, and pretty soon you're just going to give it to Goodwill because you don't remember that it was ever nice. I can't even remember. I can't recall with sufficient force. I can't recall the suffering and the humiliation, but I also can't recall the good. I'm like that, you know? So anyway, when I get to, I'm driving home from work one day, or wherever, and I am at this red light and my phone rings. And it's Barbara Jean, because now we have technology, you know, and we got cell phones and all that. So I answered the phone, and it was Barbara Jean, and she was just diagnosed with lung cancer, and she had 4 months to live. And she said, do you think you could pick me up and take me to some meetings? And I'm selfish and I'm self-centered, but I am not that selfish and not that self-centered. God is an incredible force. God is love. I know that now. I didn't know that then. So God is love. And she said, so of course I'm going to start picking her up. So I started picking her up on Monday nights, and there's a Hard Rock meeting up there. And so I started taking her to that meeting. And what happened slowly over time, now she wants to go to 2 meetings. Really? Okay. All right. I see where this is going. So, and I started picking her up, and I started going to meetings. And what happened is, if you bring your body, your mind will follow. And I fell back in love with AA, and my trophy got shiny again, right? And this girl Lori asked me to sponsor her. Lori saved my life. I mean, it's a we program. Like, I'm not going to walk across the street to help myself, but I will for you. And God's so smart. He gives me this disease, it's selfishness and self-centeredness, right? My only solution is to help you. Your only solution is to tolerate me. Thank God, right? So anyway, you know, here I am. I'm going to all these meetings again, you know, and I don't know. I fell back in love with AA, and life got bright again. And, you know, and fast forward a whole lot of stuff, and I was never going to date anybody in AA ever again because of the carnage. I mean, truly, there was some wreckage. And I just didn't want to have to go through all that. And so I started doing online dating, right? Oh, my God. We don't have a corner on the market as sick. Let me tell you that, you know? So we are definitely scratch and dent sale, and that's me too. But so anyway, I started dating online, and oh, my God. So anyway, and my kids were like, oh, my God. You know, my mom, Timmy, my son, he's so cute. He's such a nerd. Like, my son had a full ride to Notre Dame University, and he went. Right? He's a PhD. He's what I look at him and think, I could have been a contender. You know what I mean? But he did it. I don't know. Like, he just kept showing up, you know? Like, he didn't smoke tea or anything. He just went. I don't get it. I don't even know how he's my son. Now, my daughter is me. My daughter ended up, I was telling Julie, my daughter tried to kill herself. This isn't funny, but it kind of is. So she tries to kill herself. She goes to the psych ward up there. And so me and her dad, we're divorced, but we've worked through some stuff, and we're friends now. And he even comes over with his wife for the holidays, and that took 20 years. So my daughter's sitting there talking to this guy in the psych ward, and I'm in there. I'm enraged. I'm like, that's not why you're here. Ah. I thought I was going to get arrested, and it got really bad. And the guy got the big eyeballs, and he left. And Kate's like, you're never going to believe this. And I said, what? She said, we were supposed to have a Tinder date tonight. And look, we're both in here. I'm like, that's my girl. We're saving her a seat, okay? I don't even know. She gets out of the psych ward, she gets pregnant. Are you kidding me? I was so crazy. I called my sponsor. I'm like, Patty, because now, well, anyway, so Barbara Jean lived for like 4.5 years. We went to a whole lot of meetings, and she helped me so much. She was absolutely, I am my saddest, I know we're not supposed to regret stuff, but man, I just wish I would have let her in sooner. You know what I mean? I was so afraid of being hurt. I built that wall one brick at a time, and I built that wall, and I might have kept you out, but I kept me in. And if I don't let you in, I can't get out, and I'm going to die. That's all there is to it, but I don't know it one brick at a time. And so anyway, Barbara Jean did pass away, and I asked Patty to be my sponsor, right? And so Patty is the one, when I called and I said, oh my God, Kate's pregnant. She said, oh, what a wonderful thing. I'm like, did you hear me? She just got out of the psych ward. That's not a good thing. She said, oh, it's a wonderful thing. I'm like, what? She said, oh yeah, just wait. This little girl is going to be your very best friend. And Joyce is 5 now, and she's my best friend. You know, I'm going to leave tomorrow morning at like 5 a.m. so I can go back and see her Monday because she's off. And so I wanted her to call me glam, all right? I like glitter. I like sparkles. I'm crazy. I wear it just for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's never going to be a good day. There's never going to be a bad day. All we have is right now. If I don't wear the glitter today, I ain't wearing the glitter. That's it. You know what I mean? Get out the good china, wear the sparkles. It is what it is. I mean, whatever. It helps when you get old, too. You don't care if people think you're nuts, because you are nuts. And that's okay, you know? Celebrate your crazy. So, you know, I mean, truly, like, if do it now. Some old-timer at Falmouth would always say, you know what this is? It's right now, and that's where God is. You know, and that's where I need to be, and that's why I got to keep my phone put away at meetings, right? Because I forget I'm in a meeting, and you know, and he would say things like, that's why they call it the present, because it's a gift, you know, and I have to be in the present. Trust me, I can, you know, have the wreckage of the future and all that kind of stuff, and Patty moved it. Well, you know what was so funny? So after Barbara Jean died, I met this guy online, right, Tommy. Well, I didn't want to date anybody in AA, but I meet this guy. He's living up in Dayton, Ohio. Well, that's kind of coincidence. I grew up in Dayton, Kentucky, right? That's God's will. So, yeah, and Barbara Jean used to say, chop wood and carry water, and I met this guy, and he had tattoos, chop wood and carry water. I thought that was God's will. No. God is God is funny, though, let me tell you. So anyway, So I meet this guy at Starbucks because he had a New York accent. I really liked his accent, right? And so, I mean, he's saying weird stuff like spiritual advisors and going on retreats and stuff. I'm like, who says that? So I was like, oh, by the way, I'm a friend of, you know, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober 28 years at the time. That was 10 years ago. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm in AA. He said, how long do you have? And I said, 28 years. And he said, I'm sober too. I said, well, how long do you have? He said, going on 3. He had 2, like barely over 2, but he's going on 3, rounding up. I mean, like, really, it's today, dude. So anyway, I mean, we ended up getting married. We really did. Kills me, you know. I wasn't going to date anybody in AA, you know. And so God sends me this guy off of Our Time, which is for old people, and he was in AA, you know. And we ended up going to Las Vegas, and we got married by Elvis. It was crazy. And Crystal went there too. And on my honeymoon, I mean, she's out in the hall banging on the door. It's still her honeymoon. We just got married. Hello, have some boundaries. And so she's screaming. I mean, Tommy's like. He said, what do you want? And he said, I'm naked. She's like, let me in, so am I. So she's naked out in the hall. Like, this ain't that kind of party, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sober today. We ain't doing that. So I've got inventories and stuff. I've made amends. We ain't doing all that. So what happened was she got this stuff in her eye, like whatever. She had something in her eye and it was burning. And so next thing you know, I'm in the shower, she's in the shower. It's our wedding night. We're both naked in the shower. Tommy's out there.
Anyway, nobody else is going to put up with me. You know what I mean? Like, he had to be in AA to do all that. It's always somebody at our house, always. I got new girls anyway. So anyway, a couple years, like, life's going well, right? And I get diagnosed with cancer. Oh, I was not okay. I went down that dark tube, and y'all showed up. I had kidney cancer, and it's been like 3.5 years. I just had a clear scan. And what happened was, I know, thank you. Woo! You guys carried me through the whole thing. You would not let me isolate you, because I wanted to shut down. Like, what kind of God would do that, you know? Are you kidding? Do you know how many girls I sponsor? Do you know how many meetings I go to? I give people rides, and you're going to hit me with cancer? But, I mean, it could have been that I smoked 22 packs, I smoked 3 packs a day for 22 years. I quit 10 years ago, but they were like, well, the damage is already done, so whatever. So then, now here's another thing. So I got through that, and I got a new sponsor, Gay, because Patty moved, and all this crazy stuff. And what I learned is that it's no human power. God's going to work through whoever's there. You know what I mean? Like, God's God. If I turn my will and my life over to the care of God, He's got it. I don't have to fix, manage, and control it. I don't have to. You know, the only way you can get your ducks in a row is if you shoot your ducks. Now, how fun is that? I mean, I'd like to, I'm from Kentucky. I can shoot a duck, but I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I'm vegan now, well, except for when I'm not, because sometimes I'm not, That's just what it is, and, I really like White Castles. So, anyway, a year ago, I'll wrap this up. So a year ago, I could go on for days, but I promise I won't. So a year ago this week, I got a call. I woke up. I missed it because I was asleep. I turned off my phone now. My parents have passed. And I could tell you about that too, but we don't have time. I got a call. It was like some guy found my son. It was some other, but it wasn't my son, but it was my son's number, and he left a message. They found my son having a seizure on the floor in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's 21 hours away from me. And by the time I got there, to make a really long story short, he had brain cancer. He had a tumor. And to make a really long, it went on, this is quick, right? He's okay. They got it out. It was amazing, really. And 2 people from my home group live right down the street from my son, and they help take care of him. Like, these guys are everywhere. God is everywhere. And y'all carried me through that. And so I was going to my one of my main meetings of Wednesday night, Happy, Joyous, and Free. And my grand sponsor is sitting there, and she said, Peggy, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm not okay. I'm mad at God. She said, well, what are you mad at God for? I said, well, my son's got brain cancer. She said, well, God didn't do that. God is love. And I heard her. God didn't do that. God is the one that put I needed a job. There was a job on my answering machine one time. Seriously. I was going out of town for my very first vacation, and here it goes. So my sister lives in Connecticut, and so I drive to Connecticut. I don't know how I'm going to get to a meeting because we don't have technology then. And so my sister's roommate's dad was in AA, and he took me to a meeting, and Maynard Bernard, who is gone now, wrote the story in the book, Join the Tribe, was at that meeting. And it made that big book not fiction. You know what I mean? And then one time I owed all this money, and I'm praying for it, and I get this check in the mail, and it was for that amount. That's God. God is love. That's all. Thank you so much. God bless.